Sorry about that, guys. We're punctual over here. I'm not adhering to that Arab stereotype, bro. Not me. Okay, hope you well. Hope everyone's good. Alhamdulillah, bro. Not bad. Not bad at all, Raz. Hope you well. Just wait for Travis to join us. Amin, Salam, I hope you're well. I was worried we were going to lose some followers to the England match, but Ivan Toney's not even in the squad. Maguire's starting, so I've got no worries on that front now. Last I checked, it was still 0-0. Jinxie, Salam, brother. Hope you're well. Okay, Chico, how you doing, brother? Obrigado for joining us today. Yeah, last I checked, it was a dead game. Just waiting for Travis to join us, and we'll get into it. Ready when you are, bro. Just send me the request, and I'll get you on, Travis. The little icon there, with a little dude with the arrow. Move it to that side. Might be able to just send you the request. I'm good, bro. I'm good, Chico. Okay, let's do the introduction because I am conscious of a 10-10 makes drop in about an hour's time. And if anyone wants to jump off and check out what Jordan's dropping, pick up one of those great bowls, then I totally understand. 1-0, I'm assuming that's to Italy. Yeah, so let's just get into it. So I've missed doing these lives. We had a really good live back in February with Tangiers, with Travis and Fong. And yeah, I was delighted when Travis offered to give us some of his time to talk about what they're up to and what he's specifically up to with Tangiersclub US. It's a blank canvas as far as I'm concerned because I'm not all that aware of Tangiersclub US. I've got an idea, but I'm intrigued, so I'm keen to hear what that's all about. The only thing I am aware of is Tangiers Club. I'm sure many of us are aware of Tangiers Club, that massive Instagram account with a significant following of well over 100,000 followers. It's essentially a fan account, but they've built that following on the back of, the pre-existing sort of cult status that Tangiers has in Brazil. I mean, I'm talking like when George goes over to an expo in Brazil and people ask for his autographs, people that get 96 tatted on their necks as an homage to Kane Mint. I love Kane Mint, I love George, and I love Tangiers, but not on that level. So for all these reasons, I want to see what Tangiersclub US is about because I think it's modelled on the same sort of thing. Obviously, we'll talk about new flavours because, to their credit, back in February, when people were asking about imminent plans, Travis and Fong, they did mention new flavours and they've recently dropped them in the last sort of month and a half. They've been going ham, various pop-ups and, the Shisha meetup last weekend, which had me suffering from FOMO quite significantly. So yeah, some of the new flavours like lemongrass, I think that's one I've tried. I really enjoyed it. It was a good balance between citrus and earthiness. That's the new one I've tried. Eric's Mango is another one, which I think it was the last one that he signed off on before he sadly passed away, which has that historical context. So for all these reasons, very keen to talk about that kind of stuff. And then obviously you guys have been really helpful, posting some really good questions. We'll get through those as well. So without further ado, we'll get Travis locked in and we'll just get into it. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, buddy. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm not bad. I can see a lot of Tangiersclub US paraphernalia, merchandise. You're
Oh
suited
yeah.
and booted.
Oh yeah. How's everything across the pond going, man?
Everything's really good across the pond. I've got Trap Force racked up.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's my favorite mix.
I don't blame you. I've spoken and thinking, why didn't I come up with this? But then you already did. So for those that
Actually,
don't know, yeah, sorry, you go.
I can't take credit for coming up with that mix. Actually, that mix was developed at Hooker Rush in Columbus,
Yeah,
Ohio, a long time ago,
yeah,
with Alfalfa flavors. It was
yeah,
developed, Alfalfa blueberry, Alfalfa
of
grapefruit, and
course.
Alfalfa mint.
And there's
Um,
obviously Triforce as well, so it's based around that. But
yeah,
just those individual components of blueberry, pink grapefruit experiment just elevates it for me.
yeah, of course. And when I started working at Tangiers, I was like, hey, why not make a mix with my favorite tobacco, right?
Indeed, absolutely. I often do that actually, and it's not to sort of take away from other brands, but you try something in a different cut or in a different type of tobacco. Tamari Spice Chai was a good example of that. I used to smoke that thinking, I'd love this to be available in dark. Uh, and it was eventually released in dark. It didn't, unfortunately, because I built it up so much in my head, it probably disappointed me on that basis. But you're right, yeah. So you get these sort of other flavor profiles with the mixture of the brands. And what if I can recreate this using stuff that I enjoy? And I'm thoroughly enjoying this. This never fails. It never fails to hit for me. So kudos to you in any case on that front.
I'm glad,
so yeah,
I'm glad you like it.
oh, I love it. I love it. I'll smoke it all day. Obviously, thanks for jumping on, Travis. Appreciate you offering your time. Tangiersclub US, do you want to give us a sort of quick introduction to that project and what it's all about?
So Tangiersclub, you guys are familiar with in Brazil, right? Tangiersclub. A few months ago, we've been, talking about bringing this idea to the US. It was
Mm-hmm.
something that I've been speaking with, Tangiersclub, and, just bringing some of the cool and exciting things that they bring in South America and across the
Mm-hmm.
world here to the United States. I feel like it's something that the United States definitely needed, to be able to appreciate their favorite brand, and be provided with some cool merchandise, some cool exclusive stuff, and really get out there and be part of the community and host
Mm-hmm.
these events and, you know, just really be one with the community, man.
Absolutely. And it's a good benchmark because Brazil's just crazy. I'd love to go there, see
I'll
various
be,
different.
I'll be right there.
No worries
So
at all.
sorry. So sorry about that.
No, it's
Yeah.
still working hours for you, man. It's all good. It needs must. But yeah, I was just saying that, there's a few sort of Brazilian influencers, and you look at that and you you develop a bit of an inferiority complex when you look at what they do and how big it is over there. But on the same token,
Yeah.
they love you guys and they love the products that you make. The popularity of Tangiers over there never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah, and we really love them too. They do amazing things. They do amazing work, and I'm excited to work with these guys to bring some of the same things that they're doing down there
Yeah,
up here. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with them. They're
yeah.
amazing people.
I noticed as well. I think it was your first bowl in the 1010 bowl that you got from Jordan, and you were using
Hmm.
those hexagonal coals that are quite popular over there.
Yep.
I'm quite intrigued actually. How do they sort of not perform, I suppose, but how do they kind of translate in terms of the sessions that you've been having?
I've been having great sessions with them, man. Honestly, it seems to keep the bowl at a nice temperature to start up, and then
Yeah.
once those coals burn down, and you drop all three of them down in the provost, it
Hmm.
really gets up to peak temperature, and
Hmm.
it I've had really enjoyable sessions with those coals. They're
Yeah.
really onto something down there, so I was like, why not try it?
Absolutely, and I like that about you because I mean, in fairness to everyone else, I'm comparing yourself and Fong. Fong's quite, I wouldn't say set in his ways, but he has a sort of preferred way of smoking, the kind of traditional Tangiers way. Um,
Of course.
I'd, I'd say Ben probably he prefers the Provost method from what I've seen, but you kind of gravitate between the two, where it's kind of I'll do silver tabs one day, or no, I'm feeling like Provost and coconut coals, or those hexagonal ones that we mentioned.
Yeah, part of it too is just, personally, I prefer the traditional way.
Hmm.
But, part of it too is, I see all these exciting bowls that you guys are posting up, like the 1010s and
Yeah,
all these crazy pack methods and heat management devices. I'm like, hey, maybe these guys are onto something. So, it's been a real cool opportunity to kind of connect with the community in that regard and try something
absolutely.
different myself.
Yeah, I think I did mention when we had that live back in February, I was experimenting with silver tabs. I haven't done so recently, but I will get back onto it. One method that I thought was quite intriguing was Bracken from Hooker University with using, I haven't got it to hand, but the Mosaic Halo H&D with foil and start up with three coals. And I'm thinking, hang on, three coal startup with the wing cover. Uh, but it worked brilliantly. So you're right. There's always scope for change and improvement and innovation. And I'm glad you guys are receptive to that because obviously there is a preferred method over there, but it's versatile stuff. You smoke it how you want, and it yields different results for different people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned Hookah University and the community because
Mm,
I have a special guest in my office here right this minute.
bring 'em on.
All
No
right.
way! My mate Neve, how are you?
Good morning, afternoon, hello. Just wanted to pop in and say hi, and then I'm gonna go watch this from the office.
Cheers, Neve. Shout out Neve as well for the Shisha meetup. How was that event, by the way? Because I was just sat here just balking. I was like, God, what a gift to be there. Oh, your sound's come off. You sound. Oh, you're back on there.
Um, I'm sorry.
Oh, you sound cut off for like a 10 second, like a 10-second drop off of the sound.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I reconnected my headphones. I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now, though? Everything good?
Yeah, can do. Speaking of Cookie University, hi Eddie. Hope you're well, brother. Everyone looking
Uh,
in.
can you hear me now, though? We're good? All right, perfect. So yeah, we just went to the event last week in Los Angeles, the Shisha Meetup,
Hmm.
hosted by Neve.
Hmm.
Um, Fantastic event, beautiful
Hmm.
venue. It was a great event, honestly. It was nice, it was intimate. We had time to actually connect with the consumers and hang out and smoke and get to know everybody. I mean, I actually had to have a conversation with Morning Hookah, Matt Descent. I mean, I
Hmm.
every year I see him at Expo, we just pass by and wave at each other because we're
Yeah.
slammed. But it was cool that we had that time, at the Shisha meetup to be able to connect with all these people and actually
Yeah.
get to talk and get to know them. It was wonderful.
Yeah. And he drove 800 miles to get to you guys as well. The concerted effort Matt makes to engage with
Yeah,
everybody. Fair play to him. It's quite
yeah,
something. Good.
yeah,
Well, one day I will make the pilgrimage to Arizona, San Diego, Vegas, all these beautiful places, and hopefully I'll get to smoke with you guys in person. Um,
absolutely.
my- Myriad of questions. Obviously, we'll deck in and out of Tangiersclub US and what have you. Some of these will probably relate to that anyway.
Mhm.
I'm keen to get into them if you are. So should we mix up?
Of course, absolutely. Let's get into it.
Let's let's get into it. Hopefully the icon works today. Okay. First question is Tangier meant to make you feel lightheaded. Other dark leads that have the same effect. So yeah, fire away.
Is Tangiers meant to make you lightheaded? I mean, I don't think that's the intended effect. Um, However, our tobacco does carry that, nicotine content, being unwashed, of course, and everything. The intended effect is not to make you lightheaded. If you're having that problem of being lightheaded, maybe try reducing some of the heat off your bowl.
Hmm.
Another thing too, like when you're smoking, stay hydrated, of course. Drink some water, eat some sugar, and that
Absolutely.
buzz usually tapers off.
Yeah. I think that is a misconception because when people say what kind of brands do you smoke and you say, oh yeah, Tangier is probably my favorite brand, they kind of pigeonhole you as a buzz chaser. I wouldn't class myself as a buzz chaser at all. I think the great thing about community and why I do my content is taking a tobacco that you're not familiar with and then finding an ideal way to pack it, heat manage it, and effectively taming it so you can have what I feel are the hallmarks of a good session, which are big fluffy clouds, full-bodied flavor. If it's robust, I mean, if you're a seasoned smoker, you can go for that. But look, Tangiers is smooth. If you pack it the right way, if you heat manage the right way, you get all the hallmarks of a good session, and you get lasting power as well, which is why you guys are so successful at what you do. There are means of destabilizing it and going for the buzz if you go for like a flat pack and doing it that way in a traditional bowl. That's one means of doing it. But yeah, that's why these guys do what they do, and that's why they revolutionise the industry. They're kind of cool was how can we make this palatable for the enthusiast market? And there is a way to tame Tangiers, and once you've kind of nailed it and you've found a way and landed on the method that works for you, then yeah, hopefully you shouldn't be getting that kind of that buzzy effect that guy was alluding to. So yeah, we know this. On to the next one. What are your top three mixes, Travis?
Ooh, my top three mixes. Of course, as you call it, the Trap Force, the blueberry, number 21 blueberry, number 95 grapefruit, number 96 cane mint, all in even thirds. Another mix that I really fell in love with recently is the raspberry iced tea and cooling.
Hmm.
I usually go 50-50 on that.
Okay.
Uh, and then another unique mix that I really love that a couple years back we had we had experimented with some mixes, right? And developed this mix menu. And one of the mixes that really stood out to me was horchata and cherry limeade. Like if you love cherry
Mhm.
cola, that's the mix for you. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Cooling's an interesting one. I've not tried it as yet. So how does it sort of compare to, obviously we've got these similar sort of flavors in Russia, like Supernova, by Darkside, Morose, by Element, Frosty, what have you. Is cooling the same sort of vibe where it's more menthol as opposed to peppermint, or is it that kind of ilk of flavor,
Yeah,
if you want to call it?
yeah. I mean, you hit the nail pretty much on the head. It's a similar vibe to those flavors. I mean, it's a straight up cooling menthol sensation.
Hmm.
It I feel like it makes a lot of other flavors pop too when you mix
Hmm.
it, especially the tea flavors. I found
Yeah.
I've tried to mix it with every single tea flavor, and it really brings out that rich tea floral note to those tea flavors,
Hmm.
and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. I'll chime in with a few mixes that I really enjoy. I think the favorite mix of mine at the moment is comprised of many of my favorite flavors. So shout out you guys because I hadn't tasted Cashmere Guava until we had our live. I got the pack of it as soon as Bong eulogized about it. I fell in love with it. It's
Oh,
probably my favorite Cashmere now. So that with papaya sorbet and pear, which is again that's another I would say a sleeper flavor by Tangiers. Um, Olo with maraschino 50-50. You talked about Dr Pepper. That for me is that's the mix for me on that front. And again, Olo is one that's criminally underrated.
oh, it's so good.
Well, yeah. Another one. I'll tell you, there's one mix I always go to when I'm feeling under the weather. It's 2005 blueberry 50%, Mimon 30%, and 20 wintergreen. It's I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the eucalyptus. I don't know if it's the kind of tart fresh blueberries that you get because the blueberry I'm smoking now is not quite like that. It's more of a I wouldn't say candied, but it's kind of a balance between blue gumball and 2005. But that mix is another stellar one. But that's the beauty of Tangiers. There's a myriad of different things you can come up with.
Oh
And
yeah,
you know, if if everyone kind of submitted their Tangiers mixology sort of doctrine, it'll read like War and Peace. You know, there's just a myriad of different stuff that you can do. Um,
oh yeah,
but
most
yeah,
definitely.
and obviously what I'm smoking now, Truffles, killer mix.
It's funny you mentioned wintergreen though too.
Mm-hmm.
Wintergreen is one of the flavors that we experimented a lot with when we were
Mm-hmm.
coming up with that mix menu. And wintergreen was the one thing we found that will mix with absolutely everything.
It's one of those. It gets overlooked because I think this is the trouble. So there's some flavors when you kind of read the description, you think, do I want a straight bowl of this? But then you actually think, no, but the potential of that flavor when you mix it with the right thing, like citruses and berries, which is what I came up with. And yeah, wintergreen solid. It is versatile as well. You know, that 250 grams goes a long way with a myriad. And you
Oh,
don't mix too much as well because it does have those kind of like slightly earthy undertones as well. So you don't have to go heavy-handed with it. You can do 20% and you can still feel that ratio complementing everything else in the bowl. Those are the flavors I like. I like the ones that you can kind of just throw in like 20% of it and you could just elevate your bowl completely, but you still got a full stash of it left over. Those,
absolutely.
and
As they
windscreen's
say,
definitely
just yeah, as they say, just throw it in there, right? You
indeed,
know,
absolutely. Ooh, here we go. It's bugging out already. What's your favorite hookah to smoke out of, Travis?
my favorite hookahs to smoke out of course, Regal hookah. You can't beat a Regal. You just absolutely can't. The aesthetic and
Yeah,
just knowing the hard work that goes into it to make
yeah.
that beautiful aesthetic, but
This
just
is
the
what.
way it,
Yeah,
of,
that's that. I thought I'd just flex it just whilst you're talking about Regal. But yeah, go on.
of course, I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, aesthetically,
Yeah.
they're beautiful. They're so customizable that
Hmm.
everyone can really make a unique look with it, and
Hmm.
they just perform like a champion. I mean,
Hmm.
they can take abuse and just keep chugging along for
Yeah,
10 years. I mean, I have one on my shelf that's 7 years old and doesn't have a blemish, you know?
yeah.
It's, it's insane.
Build quality and Regals are superb, and they are the OG CNC machine hookah. You know, that's for me. That's why it's so revolutionary. Someone asked me, should I get a Regal? And I said, yeah, for the sort of historical context of, you know, where would the industry be
Of course,
without that
absolutely.
company? It's, you know, it's definitely a trailblazer in that regard. This one I picked up from Messi. Actually, George and me, the two of them, sort of cherry picked it for me, and yeah, it's up there. My collection is definitely up there. You know, it's one of the things I do gravitate more to a restricted rule, but there is something about, even if this is quite open compared to what I tend to smoke out of, it's still great. You know, it's build quality is good. The epoxy on mine is a thing of beauty. Just the tray, I'd be so reticent to actually use it for its intended purpose because again, it's just too nice. You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
solid rig. Regal Hacker makes all
Yeah.
kinds of sense.
Yeah. I mean, and then other than Regal hookahs, I mean, personally, myself, I like traditional hookahs. I've really been delving into a lot of modern hookahs lately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm smoking out of a Matte Pear right now.
Mm-hmm.
Always enjoy smoking out of that.
Yeah.
I've been just collecting modern hookahs from across the world lately. Tess brought me back a lovely koala hookah from the Shisha Messe,
Mm,
and I love it. I smoke out of it every now and again, but
yeah.
traditional Khalil Mamoons, Syrians, Shikas, also great.
They still have their place in our hobby. You know, we're not veering away from them anytime soon. But you're right, the modern ones, they do offer an elevated sort of experience. You could argue, but yeah, you've still got to pay homage to the OGs, you know, like the ones that you cited, like your Shikas and your Limeade.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, what's important is what's inside of the bowl, man. I mean, honestly, like I can smoke out of just about any hookah as long as there's Tangiers in the bowl, I'm happy, you know?
Indeed, indeed. Very loaded question, Travis. You can see it right there. I'll let you take it away.
A very loaded question. I'm sorry. Which question was that?
Just here, what does the hobby of shisha mean to you?
The hobby of shisha means everything to me, man. Honestly, I've connected with so many people over the years. So a little bit of background information about myself. I grew up on a tobacco farm in eastern Cincinnati. I graduated with
Mhm.
70 people, you know. I grew up in a town that, everybody knew everybody. It wasn't very culturally diverse, So being able to, move to the big city, pick up the hobby of shisha,
Yeah,
work for Tangiers, I've met so many people from so many different walks of life,
yeah,
and connected with them, and honestly have formed a huge family over the years. For me, I always had a problem connecting with people and making friends when I was younger,
hmm
because I was around the same, 70 people all the time.
hmm
Um, so it really kind of brought me out of my shell and really made me more social and really helped me discover a lot of things about myself too that I
hmm
never would have figured out, and experience some cultures I may have never got to experience. So for me, that means absolutely everything.
Yeah. You've basically described why hooker exists. You know, it was a means of basically everyone has a meal, and yeah, we'll just chew the fat over this hookah, and we'll have a chat, and
Of course.
that's where we are now. So your life is a microcosm of that, Travis, and
Yeah.
obviously, you know, you're monetizing it now. You're doing great things for Tangiers, but you've got an inherent passion for it, and no one can take that away from you.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the thing is, though, I mean, that can be taken away. I mean, with all the legislation in the world going on right now and them trying
absolutely.
to infringe and ban our hobby,
Hmm
I think, we need to use those connections that we've all made through the hobby of hookah and really stand together and make sure that this hobby continues. I mean, this isn't a
Absolutely.
hobby. This is a lifestyle for a lot of us. So if
hmm
it's important to you, then stand up and fight for it.
Absolutely.
Follow NHCA, subscribe, know what's going on in the world, and make your voice heard.
Absolutely. And it's, I mean, we have our own sort of, regulations on tobacco and import and what have you. And we look at the States and think, oh, well, those guys, they're cultivating it and they've got all these brands and they're fine. But no one's immune from it, unfortunately. But I will say, I mean, would you say sort of Tangiersclub US is born out of that sort of passion? I appreciate that it was influenced by Tangiersclub, but I'm assuming that, obviously you've got your line of work with Tangiers, but Tangiersclub US, I'm sure it's cultivating that sort of sense of community is probably part of what you're trying to do with Tangiersclub US.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's 100% the idea. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's really a place for the people that appreciate, Tangiers, appreciate hookah in itself, to be able to connect with one another, to connect with us, to be able to really network with each other and to spread the word about, the great work that we do here. And that's the general concept of it, man. It's just to spread Tangiers across the country for people to connect with each other and really appreciate what we do here.
Yeah. It's crazy because I mean Tangiersclub is essentially it's Brazil, and then there's obviously you guys in the States. It's kind of like a culture clash really, but then you're kind of you have that mutual sort of affinity towards this one thing that kind of binds you together. I forget the name of the guy, the chap from Tangiersclub who visited you guys last month. Just remind me of the guy's name. Yeah, and obviously I wouldn't say there was like a language barrier, but despite that, it just seemed to be this kind of like harmonious sort of experience between him and everyone else at Tangiers, and it was a nice thing to see and experience, I'm sure, for yourself as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every time I get to see them, it's always a pleasure. For me, like I said, like any kind of language barrier, any kind of like cultural barrier, it can be. There's one universal language, and it's love that we share with each other around a hookah and get to know each other, and those guys are amazing, man. Those guys are my family, I love those guys. Every chance I get to see them. I mean, I plan on flying to Brazil and seeing them soon. So
have you ever been, or is that going to be a first time visit for yourself?
It's going to be a first time visit. I've never even left the country, so we're doing it big.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a baptism of fire. You've never left and you're going to go to Brazil to see what the culture's like over there. It's a great place to start, Travis. Like, what can I say?
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I'm
I'm
excited.
excited for you. I wish I could be there with you.
Well, maybe you guys can be there with us, maybe we'll do a live like this and
absolutely.
follow along with all of our adventures,
I'll be locked in one way or another, I can assure you, because I want to see that stuff. This is a good one. What's your favorite non-Tangiers brand to smoke?
My favorite non-Tangiers brand to smoke. I mean, personally, I'm a traditionalist. I mean, the first bowl I ever smoked was Nakla and Alfakar double apple, 50-50.
Yeah.
Some days I like to go back to my roots and, just be a normal guy. I don't like, I'm not going into a lounge to, work or, sell to a place, I mean, which, a lot of times I'm always in work mode, so that ends up being the case. But, the hour that I get to unwind and just be a regular customer, I like to go back to my roots and smoke a Nakla or Alfakar double apple bowl.
Of course. So yeah, I think for me, I mean, those brands, obviously, you always go back to double apple. Well, not everybody, but I certainly do. I'm Middle Eastern, how can I not? Obviously, Travis is answering the question for me, but people who follow me know, stuff like Kismet, Must Have, Blackburn, Tangiers is still up there for me, though. It's still the number one. But I do like actually experimenting with mixing different brands and seeing what kind of results you achieve in terms of you've got something like Tangiers, which is very robust, and you've got something like Blackburn, which is a bit more the same, but you kind of meld the two together and you get this kind of harmonious sort of melding of the two. That's also quite an enjoyable experience for me, as I'm sure it is for many. But yeah, Knuckle DA and AFDA.
You can't go wrong. I mean, those guys did it well, man. They did it
a
well.
lot of people would vehemently disagree with us, but I don't care. There's always a time and place for those two.
Yeah, and it's always fun too, like going to events like the Shisha Meetup, seeing other brands there as well, walking around and getting to try some of, the things that they do,
Yeah. Well, speaking about that, actually, because I know for Mario were there, did you try their back in mint by any chance? I don't know if they had that on one of the sites.
I actually did not. I got to walk around briefly. I stopped, I actually, was kind of a consumer for a while, and I was walking around like seeing all these like crazy bowls, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna try that one. I'm gonna get a 1010 mix. I'm gonna get an alpaca. I'm gonna get some herb bowls. And then like I took a couple puffs of alfalfa at their booth, and walked by the Fantasia guys, smoked for a second. And then just kind of went full circle back to
Yeah.
where I was located. But, I'm sure I'll see them in the Hookah Expo worldwide. And I look forward to seeing them. Maybe I can try some of their stuff while I'm there, time permitting, of
Absolutely.
course.
I think that was one of my takeaways from the Shisha meetup. There's so many, like you said, it was quite an intimate event. But that being said, so many industry players and mainstays, like, you mentioned Fantasia, Damari, Fafa, for those guys to be there and actually express an interest in joining you guys. Credit to Neve where it's due. She knocks it out of the park with that event, and a lot of FOMO last week, and I won't elaborate too much on that. But yeah, it's a testament to how good the event looked.
Yeah, it was wonderful, and like I said, mutual interest there. Every time we get to see other people in the industry, it's great. I mean, we all know each other, one capacity or another. So being able to see some of our friends that work at other brands, it's always a great time.
Yeah, and everyone's up against it. Like, I don't want to be too emphatic about all the stuff that you guys are contending with and what you will continue to contend with impending legislation and regulations and stuff. But you're all fighting the same fight effectively. So it's good to see that community spirit instilled. And those events, they're great. Cultivating that and making sure that people are on the same page. So all good stuff.
Absolutely.
This is an interesting one. It's actually from Direct Flavor, who they know a thing or two about Tangiers. I'm sure they're asking this on behalf of their followers. What are the exact profiles of the new numbered Tangiers flavors? So there's obviously a range of new flavors that you guys have introduced. So I don't know. You have to talk about all of them, but like some of the, I don't know, the ones that you found most interesting, the ones that you enjoyed. Just tell us a bit about those flavors.
Well, I mean, of course, the leader of that pack for me is Eric's Mango. I mean, we've been working for 20 years to develop the perfect mango, and honestly, it couldn't be better, man. It's a ripe, fresh mango, and it's the most natural mango flavor I've ever tried. I could smoke it for hours. I love it. It's amazing. But lemongrass as well. You guys have
the one I've tried, and I've had and it's not the kind of thing I'd smoke a straight bowl of, but it was the first time trying it, and it's been built up on my head since February actually, and the balance of that flavor was outstanding, and it spoiled me now because I'm now thinking, I really want to try Eric's Mango. I really want to try. I'm trying to think how many you guys have dropped. Is it like 10 new flavors? Probably more than that. I can't remember. But
man, yeah, it's even hard for me to remember. I mean, imagine I had to memorize flavors 1 through 119. Some of them don't even have numbers. Some of them do now, and I'm like, wait, what number is that one? Which one is it?
Yeah, oh god. Well, if you're struggling, then we're all going to struggle because I remember, watching yourself and Matt on his YouTube, and you were like Rain Man. He was just pulling out numbers, and then you didn't miss a beat. Like,
yeah. So yeah, those are the main two that stand out for me. I'm not sure what other ones they're referring to because there's such a large variety of them, but
exactly.
Stay tuned to see those, and maybe I'll smoke a few and tell you guys my impressions of them.
I think that would be good actually. I mean, I don't know if it's an idea for yourself or Ben, but I mean, from those new flavors, if maybe not every day, but just periodically, just say we're smoking this new flavor and kind of just go into describing why it's so good or why it's taking you so long to execute it. Like with the mango, trying to hit those right notes, because mango's, it's notorious for not smoking that great a lot of the time. Like certain flavors, you think it's too candied or it's smoking a bit too warm. But yeah, I mean, me personally, it's piqued my interest. So I mean, maybe periodically just say this is one of the new flavors, this is what it's all about. I mean, it's a bit like what Fung was doing about a year ago when he was going through those, like from one, I think he went up to coconut and he was just doing like 2 minutes sort of videos in each flavor. That might be an idea. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that, we could definitely, work on, but, if we find time to go through and do them, then maybe we will. Maybe we'll sit down and smoke them one day and talk about them. It'd be
Yeah.
fun.
No, that'll be good. I'm sure everyone will be captivated by that as well.
Most
This is a
definitely.
great question. I'll get back up. What's actually in bug powder? What isn't in bug powder?
It's ever changing. I mean, that's the only way I can answer that question. It's never the same.
But there is how do I put it? There's kind of like an end game with that flavor. I'm sure, like, okay, so I know it's like a myriad of different florals and what have you, but what's the aim with bug powder? I think it's probably the question, like, when you're trying to come up with ratio. Well, they are ever changing, but what's kind of like the intended or desired end result with that flavor?
I mean, it's the end result is to try a combination of many of our different floral mint flavors, earthy flavors, and you get a wide array of combinations with those flavors, and it never being the same, I think is the real appeal to it.
Mm-hmm. Very subjective, because a lot of people will say I hate that flavor for that reason, but
Yeah,
I appreciate bug powder. It's one of those where, if actually saying that, I think it does have a role to play, because if I'm not sure what to smoke, that and schnozberry I'll mix, which is another one that's notorious for that, where it's mixed with all the berries, and you got this, which is an eclectic mix of random florals and what have you, and mints, but it's never failed me, to be honest. If I don't know what to smoke, that is what I'll smoke, for that reason, that exact reason, where I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and it's never failed me too when someone's like, "Hey, will you pack me a bowl?" I'm like, "What do you want to smoke?" And they're like, "Anything." And I'm like, "Cool, here's anything." So
Literally
anything. It could be anything. So there you go. Enjoy.
It is what you want it to be. It is what you interpret it to be. And I think the old adage is flavor subjective, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I love that question. I was open for that question, if I'm being honest. Differences between, this is another one from Direct Flavor. This one probably he gets a lot. Differences between all of the varying types of cane mint. So, your extremes, which is like a unicorn flavor, bog standard cane, alpha, which is I suppose the OG recipe. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I hear rumblings of this extreme cane mint, but I've never seen it in the wild before, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. Now, I mean, obviously,
Right.
like we have a lot of different cane mints, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you have your Berkut cane mint, which tends to be a lot sweeter. The regular cane mint that you see now, not the alpha. For me, personally, I think that it tends to be a lot colder, a lot longer. I mean, you get the peppermint flavor, but at the same time, it stays cold. For me, the cane mint alpha, I think it kind of sweetens up towards the end. It tapers off, and you get a nice creamy peppermint flavor. Burley cane mint, of course, same effect as regular cane mint. It stays cold, it's great, but you also get those rich tobacco notes to accent
You
it.
really do. Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy burley cane mint. I do like I like the rich tobacco notes as well. So
Yeah.
out of all the cane mints, I think burley's probably my favorite. Although I do like I like the effect of alpha and the sweet peppermint.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because the way I would sort of base my preference on is which one would I like to smoke as a straight bowl. And if I had a choice between Noir, Burley, Alpha, I'd probably go for Alpha for the reasons you just said, because it has that complexity to it. There's a bit more, there's an extra dimension of the richness that you alluded to. Feels like it's a bit more of a complete peppermint as a standalone mint, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And it's based on the original recipe from what I understand, so that's probably why. But yeah, that's for me, if I was going to smoke a straight bowl, it would probably be Alpha cane mint. And I'm running down on my cane mint, and I'm going to have to go down to my Alpha, but it is what it is. But yeah, I would say for me that's probably what Travis alluded to. They are varying degrees on a rule. But for me personally, yeah, Alpha cane mint is the one that I would smoke straight.
Most definitely. Like I said, alpha is probably the one I'll smoke straight. I do like burley would be my favorite. I love the rich tobacco notes. That's what really drew me to Tangiers.
Yeah.
as a consumer when I first started smoking it, and I kind of like to keep it that way, you know?
Yeah. Next one for you then, Travis. It's a very, very specific request. Can you send some T-shirts to Kakas, which is a vendor in the UK? Very, very specific request. Medium size, please. He'll be at HEW. So, yeah, if you can accommodate that, that would be great, because I'd like one as well. Not on that side.
He'll be at HEW, you said?
Yeah, so I don't know if Cassim he was on the live a bit earlier, but he will be there. He'll be at the after party, the Hook University after party. So he'll be there. It's good as well because I'm sure he engages quite well with the community out there and what have you, and obviously stocks a lot of the products that you alluded to, like Regal, various sort of Tangiers merchandise like lockers and T-shirts. This particular one I got from Kakas as well. So you'll meet him. He's a great guy. I'm sure you'll enjoy meeting with him and engaging with him and what have you. So I mean, yeah, if you can accommodate that, Travis, that'd be great.
Most definitely easy. Just shoot me a message, and I'll see you in Vegas. Excited to meet you. And yeah, easy request, and I'll make sure to put one with your name on it, Waleed. I appreciate your time.
You're very kind. Thank you. All right, I'm sorted then. You briefly mentioned your background, Travis, but there's a good one. Are you an official ambassador for Tangiers?
So am I an official ambassador? I mean, I guess you could say so. I mean, I've been with the company for. Yeah, I mean,
you're that guy on the road. You are the face of Tangiers, for want of a better description.
Yeah, I mean, I've been with the company for 6 years, various production roles. I am a sales representative for Tangiers as well, and a lot of U.S. states. So, I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, I'm a brand ambassador. I mean, this is what I love to do, is to go out to these places, introduce it to people, and really just see the response and educate people on it. So, yeah, you could call me a brand ambassador for sure.
100%. We got a bubblegum thumbs up from Jordan. That one's interesting because Ben told me you've had that for years and it's only just recently cropped up.
I have yet to even try that. Honestly.
No way.
That is one flavor I have not tried, and I will probably pack a bowl of it today.
Please do, because I'm trying to think, how did Ben describe it to me? I can't even remember now. I don't know if it was like kind of like juicy fruits or if it was like there was some like a fruit blend to it maybe, and then you probably get that sort of spearmint in the background. I think it's probably how he described it to me. That sounds great. Yeah, that sounds like right up my street.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something I would like. So, I mean, I'll definitely give it a try.
And how this is interesting. You hope, well, presumably you're going to try it today. How long has that flavor existed for? How long has that been kept away from?
That I do not know. It's probably something that's been stashed in the background for a long period of time, but it never, as long as I've been here, it's never been like a production flavor that we sent out. So I mean, maybe it's something that's in the pipeline. Who knows? Maybe it exists here and stays here for us to smoke. I don't know.
Yeah,
you never know.
Just whilst we're on the subject of antiquated flavors that people have forgotten about, I've discussed pomegranate with George, and he mentioned that it's because of, I don't know if it's like FDA regulations that sort of curtails your ability to sell that in the domestic market. Is there a specific reason for that? Because I know that applies to certain flavors.
Actually, pomegranate is a flavor that actually just came back for the domestic market recently.
No
so
way.
It'll be available in the domestic market. Pomegranate's a flavor that I love and enjoy.
Me too.
Me
too, because I did ask the question, and then George says, "Yeah, we've done that. We'll sort you out." But that's definitely one that. Okay, well that's good news. I was of the belief that you guys weren't able to do that anymore for the mass market. But if that's a recent change, great, because I'm here for it. Pomegranate flavors, my favorite Alfalfa flavor is pomegranate. We're going to go OG. That's the one that I always go back to. If I go to a lounge, I'll judge them on their pomegranate, peach, and mint if they were doing those flavors in Alfalfa. Good. Okay, that's a very personal question for me. So I'm glad you've answered. I'm glad that it's potentially going to be available to us in the future.
Yeah.
another one about, specific nuances of different markets. Why is there such a, why is it, I'm trying to paraphrase it now. Why is there such a difference between buying Tangiers in Spain via ART versus buying it directly in the States? I mean, we know that, but if you want to impart your knowledge on that, perhaps that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, different countries have different regulations for importing, exporting, everything like that. And obviously, there's different distribution channels for each region. Like here in the U.S., the states that I handle, they deal directly with me, and I provide them their order. It's kind of the same thing overseas with them. That's their territory in Spain. I mean, there's different nuances to different regions, I guess you could say, and
Yeah.
that's just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pertinent question because obviously Spain, again, is another part of the world where Tangiers is heavily favoured and it's smoked quite a great deal over there. There's another cult following in that particular part of the world as well.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's definitely one of those things of like we would love to sell to every region of the world if we could.
Yeah,
I mean we're not in the business of not selling tobacco, so
of
I
course.
mean
Yeah,
it's just some regions make it incredibly difficult.
yeah. I mean, the nuances go as far as you want them to. Even down to the packaging. You can see what the Brazilian market gets. It's shades apart from what we're used to. The vac sealed packs as opposed to them, which is I think boxes, if I'm not mistaken. They still have the vac seal, but they've got the cardboard outer, I think, with their packaging.
Yeah, I mean the packaging, like I said, it varies to region based on different laws. You have to provide different packagings for different countries to make it compliant, of course, and we're all about crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and following the rules. So whatever they tell us that we need to do, then we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, straightforward answer to a very not straightforward thing, really. You answered it as best as you could, I suppose. Sorry. No, that's okay. So this is a good one. We kind of alluded to this earlier. How do folks at Tangiers best recommend teaching heat management with Provost or Tangiers?
with Provost, I mean, for me personally, I'm still kind of getting the hang of it. So I've been experimenting with different kinds of, charcoal, different kinds of coconut charcoal, of course.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's really just be paying attention to it and managing your heat. If the flavor starts to behave differently, or you experience
Mm-hmm.
harsh flavor, or a burning taste, then taper some of the heat off. You know, if you need to add more heat, if it's not if it's not smoking well, if you're not getting that full rich flavor you expect, you may add a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You smoking in an outside environment, use the Provost lid if it's windy
Mm-hmm.
outside. Things like that. I mean, it's all trial and error, and it's all up to personal preference at that
Yeah.
point.
I mean, the thing you got to appreciate is the Provost. It's very efficient on heat transfer, and there's a lot of tobacco brands which you can smoke using the Provost. You can smoke how you want, but I would suggest that certain brands are better paired with a Lotus. With something like Tangiers, you're going to pack it. Well, I'm not going to say the right way. You smoke how you want. If you smoke it in the ideal way, which for me is probably like a light dense, packed to 1 to 2 mil under the rim, a low and slow approach with the Provost is the way to go. You don't need to go heavy on the heat, even on the starter. In my experience, you can do 25 or 26 mil coconut coals, and 2 of those you can start off without the lid, and then sort of gradually taper the lid inwards, and then case in point, I'm doing it now. I tend to, if I'm going to go for a relatively longer session, I will introduce a second round of coals, but I'm very particular, not even meticulous, I don't know what the right word is, but I will introduce that second round early enough. So I would probably go around the hour mark so that, your tobacco's at the moderate sort of temperature. If you're then going to shrink those coals and then put a fresh set of 26 on, it's obviously going to shock the tobacco. So these are things that you kind of, you learn as you go along, and you kind of land on what's your ideal approach. But yeah, Tangiers just treat it with the right TLC, low and slow, and you'll still get all the hallmarks of a great session doing it that way. But yeah, for me, Provost is still my preferred method. There's other ways of doing it, but low and slow is the key as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it's still something that I'm experimenting with too myself, and I'm still learning. And if you guys have any helpful hints or anything like that too, feel free to message me.
Yeah,
I'm always down to try, different ways of doing things. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, for me, the low and slow approach has seemed to be working so far, and I've been enjoying it. But if there's any other ways that I may be missing or you guys enjoy, let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I still go back to Cubettes, straightforward. My birthday bowl was this exact bowl, this symphony, but with starting up with 4 cubettes, which I'm trying to think how big they are, can't tell you. But having them where they sort of cantilever slightly over the edge and then kind of just rotate them, drop down to 3, and then bring them in, just rotate them along, and then similar way to silver tabs, really. Just an applied way of doing it, I suppose. But yeah, there's a myriad ways to try it. But you're aiming for the same thing. It's try not to singe tobacco too quickly, because Tangiers is great stuff. You don't need to, introduce too much heat to really get it going, to really enjoy it,
Yeah,
which isn't the case for a lot of brands. So I think it's testament to how good the brand is, in my opinion. I'm
I
going to put
always
this.
say,
Yeah, sorry, Travis, I cut you off. You were
oh,
saying
I I always say there's no right or wrong way. I mean, at the end of the
absolutely,
day, you pack the tobacco how you want, and if you
absolutely,
enjoy it that way, then great. Absolutely. Who am I to tell you that you're wrong for you enjoying, Tangiers the way you want to enjoy it?
yeah. Um, Next question. I see you guys enjoy using traditional pipes predominantly. What other pipes do you enjoy? I'll let you answer that. And just while we're on cold changes, I'm going to do mine now. And I'll let you
Of course.
answer that question if that's okay, Travis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So me personally, like I said earlier, I enjoy smoking Regal hookahs a lot. Aesthetically, they're beautiful and they perform well. As well, I've been kind of experimenting with different modern hookahs and seeing which one I like. I mean, I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of great modern pipes out there, and I have an array of them in my collection that I smoke with every day. I mean, I just got a B2 Draco. I've been enjoying that.
Yeah.
The Moe's Breeze too. I've been enjoying that one as well. The Alpha Hookah, the Matte Pairs, VZs. I mean, I've been trying all those and enjoying them. I mean, it's all about a different draw and what you prefer. Um, I, Me personally, I enjoy traditional hookahs and the tight, restricted draw,
Hmm.
but I've been experimenting with more open draw modern hookahs, and they seem
Yeah.
to smoke well too. So
Makes sense. I always say restriction is your friend. Uh, that adage a friend gave to me. But he's right. Sometimes traditional sort of draw is the way to go. But I've had Tangiers and open draw pipes and I've really enjoyed it. It's a different experience, right? And it's a bit like what we were saying about
yeah,
book paraben. You want to change it up, you switch up the pipe, and it's a whole new experience.
yeah. It's all about what you wanna try and what you enjoy. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's any like right or wrong pipe out there. I think if you smoke with a good quality pipe, from a good quality manufacturer, and you're smoking the best quality tobacco, of course,
Yeah,
Tangiers in your bowl, you're gonna have a great experience.
that's it.
So
Well, this is it. I think we pay homage to all these great brands and all these great pipes and all the different features that they have and what have you. But at the end of the day, bowl, heat management, quality tobacco, and you can kind of the last feature or the last aspect of what dictates a good session is the pipe. So it's the skeleton of your session, but ultimately the beating heart and the engine, it's all up there. And
yeah,
significant components of those is heat management, bowl, tobacco. Case in point.
yeah, absolutely, you hit the nail right on the head.
Thank you. This question I love. What, in your opinion, is an underrated Tangier flavor? I'm going to say Olo off the bat, but you tell me.
Oh man, there's so many flavors that are just like absolutely slept on. Pear, of course. I mean, I think that's
100%.
that's Ben's favorite flavor. I know, and it's
We have a mutual affinity for that flavor like you wouldn't believe. It's in my top 5, I'd say. It's
oh
great.
yeah,
It's executed superbly. That's what I love about that flavor.
oh yeah, it's up there for me too. Olo Yuki, it's in my top 5, easy.
Yeah, me too.
It used to be number 1 for me, and then Blitz Thermal came
With good
along,
reason.
so
Yeah.
Blitz Thermal is a special place in my heart now. Let's see what else. Guanabana. Guanabana is another good one.
Yeah.
I smoked Red
Making the
Tea the
note.
other day. I smoked a straight up bowl of red tea the other day and thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that's another sleeper flavor.
Mhm.
Prince of Gray. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yunan Shadok. There's just so many.
It's a Union Shadow. It's like pomelo grapefruit, right? That's what I get.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. You're
Mm.
you're pretty much right on track with
Yeah,
it, you know, and it's florally, it's delicious, you know.
it is. It is. You're right. That's that complexity of that flavor. Because so the two that you like, Olo pear, they're up there. Pink grapefruit's up there, and I had pink grapefruit as the benchmark for Union Chinook, and I loved it. I thought right off the bat, what a flavor, and I can see why. You know, I think I saw it in a 5-star story, and they posted it, and they said, "Get this flavor. You know, if you've not tried it, you're missing out." On the back of that, I got some, and they weren't wrong. It's solid. But you're right. There's too many things. I think for me, the reason why Olo frustrates me is because people think I can barely pronounce this. What is this? I'll go somewhere
Yeah.
else. But it's so good. I mean, I know it's billed as a root beer, but Coke and lime is what I get. You know, people say, "What's your favorite cola flavor?" I'd say, well, I have my preferred ones, but right up there, Olo. You know,
Yeah.
solid because it has those. Case I'm drinking Coke. I prefer Coke to Pepsi. Coke has these spice notes that, say, Pepsi doesn't have. And Ola has the same sort of thing. It has these really subtle, like clovey, kind of cinnamony kind of notes to it. And then you get that burst of citrus. Phenomenal. It annoys me. That's how good that flavor is. It annoys me that people don't talk about it enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it used to be my favorite flavor for a reason.
Yeah. And I'm out. I need to get some. So, Banana and Olo. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. That's on the next reorder. So yeah, if anyone's watching, get a Lily quick. I'll just call it Olo for that reason because it isn't the easiest one to pronounce. Question icon's failing on me for some reason. Let's start this again. Okay, well, it's a good job I've got these questions printed out because for some reason the questions aren't popping up. Let me just catch up 1 second.
Oh, you're fine. I'm adjusting some charcoal right now.
No worries at all. Okay, we're about halfway through the questions anyway. By the way, this is a good, some housekeeping. 1010 Makes Drop is happening imminently. So if anyone wants to, I think that's why we've had the drop off. We're down to 5 viewers. So for anyone who wants one, jump off, have a look at what Jordan's dropping. I'm sure they're going to be a fine array of bowls. I think there's going to be more Provost fit bowls in this drop as well. So a good time to look at it. So my Fraley go to one side, have a look because I'm. You know, Travis. I mean, what are your thoughts on 1010 Makes now that you bought one and you know you've obviously finally met Jordan and you've been smoking out of it? What are your initial impressions of that bowl for 10 years?
So, you know, like you said, I had the pleasure of meeting Jordan. Wonderful
Yeah.
guy, by the way.
Oh,
Amazing
absolutely, absolutely.
guy. I think the Bulls perform well. I mean, I'm still kind of experimenting with them a little bit. You know, I got a couple that were ideally, he said, set up for like Provost, and that's what I've been smoking with, and I've been getting good quality sessions out of them.
Yeah.
I've had a few people at our local lounge ask me like, "Hey, what bowl is that? What are you smoking out of?" And you know, I told them, I'm like, 1010 Makes bowl. Try it.
Yeah.
Order one.
Sorry, Travis, just to cut you off. We're down to a 5-second countdown, so I'm going to jump back on. Is that cool? Thanks for rejoining. I'm a bit confused. Previous lives that I've done, they've let us run over an hour, so I'm not sure what happened. We had not much notice, but sort of 30 seconds before the hour mark was hit, we were told it's going to end. So we'll do this again. Thanks for. I'm sure Travis doesn't mind it because he managed to sort his calls out properly. And we're back again.
We are.
Yeah, we'll pick up where you were. So you're talking about 1010 Makes, Travis. You carry on where you left off.
Yeah. So I left off. Let's see. Oh yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Jordan.
Yeah.
great guy.
Mhm.
I think he makes a quality bowl. The ones that I purchased from him were set up for provost.
Mhm.
I've been enjoying my sessions with those so far, and I've actually had a couple people ask me about them, and I referred them over to Jordan. If you guys want to get one, try it out, see how you like it.
Yeah. It's timed well actually because I think the live cut off as soon as those balls dropped. So I'm sure they're probably all gone now, to be honest, because for those reasons, I think Jordan's preferred HMD at the moment is the Mosaic Halo, and with good reason because I mean that's my 10-10 mix. I've got one,
Oh,
pretty big,
nice.
but I wouldn't do this with Tangiers. I'm doing this with Mustard because left underpack you still get a decent amount of tobacco in there, and paired with the Halo, it's pretty damn good. But these bowls are phenomenal. The way they're fired and the clay that they use to get to those sort of yield points that other clays or bowls can't really hit. And you experience it firsthand when you see how well this bowl takes heat and retains it. So yeah, shout out to Jordan over at 1010 Makes. It's good to have him back, if I'm being honest. I'm glad that he's been able to come back to the industry with a bang, and he's doing great. There's a myriad of collectors and enthusiasts that now are in possession of a 1010 Make bowl, and very good reason, for the reasons you said. And there are more Provost bowls in this drop, so I'm sure that's going to pique a lot of interest for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Jordan. It's good to see him back in the community. He's a great guy, and I'm glad people are enjoying his bowls, and I wish him all the success in the world.
Yeah.
There's a ton of good bowls out there, and his are definitely up there with them.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is, because that live got cut short, I can't put the questions on the screen, but fortunately I've printed them out. So I'm just going to go through them manually. If anyone wants to submit any more questions, feel free to. Are you okay for time, by the way, Trevor?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so the next one is for a laugh, or for the bants, as we say in the UK. Have Tangiers ever thought about introducing a blonde line? I mean, you can say lucid, kind of, but... And I know you guys, you kind of, I wouldn't say clown on, but you find it interesting when people say blonde and dark and really tobacco is tobacco. It's just the varying degrees of nicotine or, type of leaf that you use in there to make what you want to make.
I mean, has it ever been discussed? I'm sure it has. I wasn't a part of those conversations. So, I mean, if it was, I wasn't a part of it, but, maybe it has been discussed. I'm sure they've explored every single possibility or avenue that there is. We have some of the best minds in the world here at Tangiers, and they do an amazing job to develop new and fun ideas for everyone in the community. So I'm sure it's definitely been thought about at some point.
Yeah, I think when we did the live back in February, I think Fong was able to impart. Obviously, he's a mainstay at Tangiers. That's not to discredit you, by the way. 6 years is a very, very long time. But that sounded really repugnant. I'm so sorry.
No,
but I think when he was talking about when I got into Tangiers, Lucid was been and done. They stopped it. I think I'm not sure, because if I was to talk about the ratio between all the other components and the actual leaf, I'd say Tangiers is right up there in terms of the ratio being more heavily centered towards the actual leaf. I'd say around sort of 40 to 50%. Yeah, I'm basing that on, I've packed a bowl, I know what capacity that bowl is at, I know how much Tangiers it takes, and then I've weighed the tobacco, or weighed the bowl with the tobacco thereafter, and I've noticed the difference. And it's around, dried sort of cooked leaf, it's around 40%. With Lucid, I think what Fong said is that it's a lot less than that, and it was very watery, and it just... It was very temperamental. I think it was very cumbersome to sort of work with, and didn't really deliver all the hallmarks of what makes Tangier so great. So again, it's not really specific to blonde leaf, but if you're talking about a line that has less nicotine, like Lucid was, and then Broke was subsequently introduced, I'd say it's for that reason. I don't know what your thoughts on that are. I'm assuming it's probably along those lines.
So I came along after Lucid was already gone. I'd smoked it before. It wasn't my favorite. And, we're all about delivering the best quality tobacco in the world. I mean, that's what we do every day. And, I feel like there's a reason that it is gone and that it's not been continued. And, there's probably good reason for it,
I mean, you alluded to, some of the other brands that you like to smoke, and that's their that's their expertise. They if they're into introduce a dark leaf line, I'd wager it wouldn't be as good as Tangiers. But on the flip side, what they do is so good anyway. So just double down on what your strengths are. You guys do blonde, inverted commas, and you guys do dark, inverted commas, and we in the community can enjoy the best experiences of each.
Hey, you know what? I mean, I'm all for, different brands introducing different things, and if they want to introduce a quote unquote dark line, then great,
Yeah,
great for them. Give it your best shot,
yeah,
But I'm gonna put the guys in this building toe to toe with anybody any day. So,
yeah,
my bet's on them in the back every day of the
yeah.
week. So,
I can, yeah, I do, with good reason as well. But equally as well, I know just thinking about, and again, this is very specific, but I think I asked this back in February myself, but it was Isle of Pine Pass. Why isn't that not in Noir? And then I think, Tom kind of alluded to, the translation of those flavors lends itself better to Brooke. You're back
sorry, I
now,
missed
aren't
that
you?
full question. I had a phone.
No, no, no,
I,
it's fine.
I had
No,
a I had a phone call pop up. Sorry about that.
no, 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 it happens. No, I was just saying that, even now, I mean, in the context of what we have and what we know, the various different lines of Tangiers, there are some flavors that you guys would necessarily do in Barcook or not necessarily Barcook, probably like F line or or Noir, or what have you. There's a certain flavor profile which lends itself better to that
Yeah.
line. Yeah,
So I mean, the reason for that being, all these wide array of flavors we have, they all behave differently,
yeah,
and there's a reason that certain things go in certain lines, right? It's best, it's optimal in those lines. So, introducing them in other lines may not be optimal in all cases. So
hmm
that's why maybe you haven't seen like certain flavors in certain lines.
yeah,
Um, you know, we try everything. We see how everything behaves across different lines, across different bowls, different charcoal, different everything. I
hmm
mean, we do a wide array of testing. I mean, that's why mango took us 21 years to make.
Well,
You know,
basically the entire history of Tangiers, and I think that's why everyone wants to try it because it took so long. Am I right in saying it was the last flavor that Eric said, yeah, sign off, and then he sadly passed away?
mango was signed off on shortly after Eric's passing. But
Yeah. Oh, okay.
it's something he had been working on for years and years and years, and we had developed it, and he had tried all these different mangoes over the years, and
hmm
it was something that he was working on and he developed, and then was introduced shortly after.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, it was probably around the time. But again, I mean, God, that's a real testament to the craft. You guys have already got your place in the industry, and you can probably get away with, yeah, we'll just pass it off. But there was never that loss of discernment in the process. It was always, no, no, we don't release this until summer solstice. I think took a year, from what I remember. There's so many different flavors that took so
yeah,
long.
I mean, I think maraschino cherry took eight or nine. Um, and of course, mango being 20. I mean, there's a wide array of flavors I've seen that just got released, like lemongrass. Lemongrass was tested, if I'm not mistaken, back in like 2019.
hmm
And we'd been playing with it for a long time before we ever released it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
flavors that we don't release something out into the public for you guys to enjoy unless it's 100% ready to go.
Yeah.
If we don't feel confident that, hey, this is perfect and it's ready to go, we don't put it out
Mm.
there. So
I noticed as well, lemongrass is it's number one, so I'm assuming that superseded the discontinued flavor.
originally number one was apricot, and it was moved to number 55. So
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
lemongrass
I've
kind of
seen that.
slid into number one.
Yeah. By the way, another sleeper flavor is apricot. For those that want to know, I really like apricot.
Apricot spring blend is
As well. Yeah.
a real
Uh,
sleeper
it,
one.
I mean, I don't know why. I think my palate kind of took me there the day I bought apricot, because I bought apricot, nectarine, and full play on the peach, and they're all similar sort of flavors. They're all like stone fruits. Very. I
Nectar,
mean, they're all unique in their own way, but they're kind of the same sort of flavor profile.
yeah, I mean they're all similar, and I mean, you know, nectarines, peaches, all those apricots
Yeah.
they all kind of have a similar, you know, flavor. But
Yeah.
nectarine too is another one. Nectarine's so freaking good.
I'll tell you what I like about that flavor. When you smell it, it smells phenomenal. I'm thinking, God, please make this taste as good as it smells, and it does. Not a lot of the time that happens, you know. Sometimes,
Oh yeah.
not necessarily with Tangiersclub, but generally, you'll smell something and you think, wow, and then you taste it, and it's like, what a shame, you know. If only the aroma translated into the taste. But nectarine's definitely one of those which actually it lived up to its, you know, your initial senses of smelling it.
I think me from a consumer standpoint too, that's one of the many things that drew me to Tangiers is the fact of, you know, I mean, there's some flavors we have that have complex names, like, you know, foreplay on the peach, you're not going to know what it is right off the jump. You're not going to know what Blitzsturm is
Mm.
right off the jump. But when you know what it is and you smell it and you're like, wow, this is spot on, and it smokes
Yeah,
very similarly, you know, it's
yeah.
exactly what you would expect and it even exceeds that. So,
I think it's satisfying as well because I didn't know what to expect with Olo. I'll bang down about it, but that was one where I was like, okay. And I smoked it. I'm like, okay, you know. And it's like, yes, no one else knows how good this is. So when it does replenish, I've got all the Olo to myself. But yeah, it's a curse and a blessing in the same respect because I think a lot of people they will, like we said earlier, they'll kind of overlook certain flavors. And by the way,
yeah,
actually, yes, Stefan, thank you for locking in. If anyone does want to kind of, you don't want to sort of wade through all the flavor descriptions, that's your doctrine of all things flavor descriptions, Dr. Hooker. Have you got the, Stefan, if you can put the website on the link or what have you, just so we know. Forgive me, I've forgotten what it was, Stefan, but if you could put that on the comments, that'd be appreciated. Because I've looked at it and he's curated quite a lot of different flavors from different brands. He's done a good job.
yeah. And, you know, I'm glad you touched on too, kind of like, oh, yeah, you know, I don't know what to expect from this flavor or that flavor,
Yeah.
right? You know, and a lot of people, they want us to disclose a lot of those things, right? I get questions all the time like, hey, what is exactly in this? I want to know, you know? And obviously, you know, I can't tell you, you know. But that also part of the reasoning behind that is we want you guys to have that same experience too. Like,
Hmm.
you know, we want that mind blowing experience. So, you know,
Yeah.
if you guys think like, hey, you know, Travis is just being secretive, he's just kind of being a jerk and not like telling me. Well, there's a good reason for that. So,
It's basic housekeeping.
well,
You know.
not only that too, but you know, the fact of like, if I tell you everything that's in something, then you're not getting that mystery. You're not getting that
Yeah.
allure, you know? So
Yeah. I
keep that in
mean,
mind too.
cashmere. Cashmere. What's cashmere? Try it. Try it, bitch. You can just try it and come back to me.
Try it, formulate your own opinions, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. But cashmere's a great one actually because that line is, you know, you can write a thesis on that line alone in terms of, you know, people really like cashmere black because there's, you know, the actual fruit notes overpower the cashmere. Not overpower, but you sense them a bit more than say, I don't know, cashmere cherry or cashmere apple. And then you get something that's quite nice and balanced, like peach or cashmere guava, you know. But until you try it, you'll never know. So yeah, that's all part of the experience.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the experience is all about. I mean, you know, like there's so many diverse names that you wouldn't know. And,
Hmm.
you know, that's part of it, you know.
Indeed, yeah,
We want you guys to try these things out too. And, you know,
yeah,
I don't want to ruin all it's like somebody spoiling your favorite TV show that you've been following along for, you know,
yeah.
a year,
It's
you know.
very,
So
yeah. It's a spoiler alert. You know, why would you just try it and come back to it?
yeah.
Oh, the next question's good. You can't, you know, no one's perfect. What's a flavor that you found difficult to nail down? That's a. I'm sure there's loads.
Well, I mean, going back to again, you know, there's a lot of flavors that have taken us years and years to develop. We tried a lot of good ones, we tried a lot of bad ones, and a lot of those flavors that you've seen, like mango, come out. There's been, I'm sure, dozens of mango samples that weren't good. There's been some flavors in R&D that I've tried that I'm like, no, you know. So I mean, it's a lot of trial and error to get to
Yeah,
those perfect results. We obviously have to go through a lot of ones that aren't that great, you know?
yeah,
So, and obviously we set those aside until we find the best one.
yeah. And I love how blunt you guys are as well because you know if I had a, I'm not going to say the word competitor, but if I had another tobacco brand on here, and someone was to say, which flavors don't you guys like from your own tobacco brand? People would they'd come out with a really sort of, they'd take around the houses and essentially say it's all good. But if I was to ask you that, or if I was to ask Fong that, it would be like, Fong, I hate coconut, and I love that, that's which is it's good. It's honest, because you can't like everything. It's impossible to like everything because flavors are down subjective.
Well, we have so many flavors too. I mean, like just even before, like we were talking about some of the new flavors.
Mm.
I mean, 1 through 119. When someone says I don't like Tangiers, I'm like, hey, look, I guarantee you, out of this list, I will find something that you love.
And yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you can't say like, hey, I just don't like that in general, right? Really try and experience it.
yeah.
I guarantee you, out of 119 numbers, one of them will click to you.
I said the exact same thing to someone who asked me about Tangiers. They said, "Oh, I've just had Tangiers. I packed it the way you do. I hated it." I was like, "Oh, interesting. Sorry about that. Maybe my pack method's not right." Just out of interest, what did you smoke? Chocolate ice cream. And my retort was, "I hate chocolate ice cream." And I'm not saying it's a bad flavor. It's just not for me, right?
Yeah,
And that's the point.
yeah. I mean, there's some flavors that just aren't for me, and
Yeah,
I tend to stay away from them, or I'll go back and try them again because our palate changes. There's
that's 100%, 100%. That's something that you definitely need to pay homage to. Just a quick one there from Stefan. Does Five Star have all the new flavors? I'd imagine they would, or they'll have close to having all of them. But yeah.
I am not sure 100% to be honest with you. I'm sure they have all the flavors that they possibly can, though.
They definitely have Eric Mango because I see that twice a day on their stories.
I will say I'm sure they have all the possible flavors that they can get and that they're allowed to sell in appropriate markets. So it's the best I can. That's the best answer I can give you, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's difficult as well because obviously, like, I'm right in thinking that regulations in terms of flavors would vary depending on the state. So, for example, Five Stars supplied nationwide. So, if someone was to come on from Arkansas, for example, they can take a particular flavor. Is that kind of part of it as well?
I mean, that's kind of part of it too, but we also
Yeah.
released some flavors, for example, like our Vault line that were only available to brick and mortar stores for a
Yeah.
reason. We want you guys, to be able to get certain flavors in different markets. And, some of those flavors encourage you to go to your local lounge or your local smoke shop and try them out. So,
Yeah.
Five Star has a wide array of flavors. They're great. There's several other online vendors that are wonderful. They carry a large array of flavors.
Yeah.
There's so many to name too. I mean, you got Hookah Shisha, Hookah Vault. You have Hookah Junkie, Hookah John. All those guys, they're all great, and they carry as many flavors as they possibly can, and
Yeah.
really allow the community a chance to try something that they may not be able to get
Yeah.
at their local store. So
Yeah. And take it from me, everyone out in the States that's watching this, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Just enjoy that you have Tangiers so readily available to you. Whatever is there, just enjoy it, just appreciate it, because it's not easy when you're on this side of the pond.
Oh, I know. They probably like I'm sure across overseas, where it's hard to get tobacco, they see us packing these 100-gram bowls and they're like,
It
these
makes my eyes water.
these
It's
guys.
That's why we like low cap bowls for that reason. Blueberry's a Volt flavor, if I'm not mistaken, right? What I'm smoking right now. I've got a funny suspicion it might be.
It used to be. I don't believe it is anymore. I believe it. You can get it from online vendors now. We shuffle those flavors in and out.
Yeah. But that's good because it gives it gives those brick and mortar stores opportunities to have exclusivity on certain flavors that not people elsewhere wouldn't try. It's a USP as far as they're concerned. So it's good to chop and change it for that reason. People might get bored of you've only got blueberry and Volt. Okay, try passion fruit. I think passion fruit was another one that tends to come up as a Volt flavor. Could be mistaken.
Oh yeah, I mean it varies across our entire flavor portfolio. Sometimes something goes exclusive to one region or brick and
Yeah.
mortar or online or wherever, Um, just stay tuned, follow along. We try to update people on those things too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah. You kind of mentioned this, but from the new flavors, which one you've tried most of them, but which one are you excited for the community to try? You know, obviously they're in the market now, they're in the you know they're out there, but which one is one particular one that you think, yeah, I can't wait for people to try this and let me know how good it is?
Eric's Mango. I mean, I keep going
Yeah,
back to it, but 20 years in the making, a long anticipated release. I'm so excited for that to finally be out to the community.
yeah,
And I've been getting messages at 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes calls, about like, hey, where can I get mango? When's mango coming? When's mango coming? So, to be able to kind of like have my phone on silent at 3 a.m. would be nice, but also the fact that the flavor is absolutely amazing is, something that takes 20 years of dedication and trial and error and, late nights smoking, 10 different samples you may have of it
yeah,
is, it's great to see that finally on the market
yeah.
and, see people that got to smoke it at like Shisha Meetup, and some of the feedback was
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm sure. Yeah. And you were at the tail end of that journey as well for that research and development, you know, to join in 2016 and then, you know, finally for it to be released and for it to get rave reviews like it has been having. I've not heard a bad thing about that flavor. Not that
Yeah,
I would, but it's just one that
yeah,
everyone's been raving about it that has tried it.
yeah. I mean, I remember when I started in February 2017. And, I'm going through and I'm trying to memorize this whole list of flavors, and like Eric told me like, hey, if you're gonna do this thing, if you're gonna be one of my guys to, sell this stuff, you gotta know it, you know. And we really get put through the ringer. Like you've got to know your stuff,
Yeah,
to so I'm like sitting there, I'm like going through memorizing the numbers and I'm like, what's this number seven? Like why is it number seven not exist? And they're like, number seven's got something special. Okay. So always in my head, I'm like, all right, number seven, one day, you know, it's gonna be there. It's gonna, and now it's here. So I'm excited. After 6 years of seeing that number
yeah,
seven blink, it's great to see that number seven on the packages.
yeah. It's interesting as well because I don't know, like various different in soccer and football, number seven is like quite a there's a lot of pressure for anyone who takes that number on for certain clubs because it has this kind of legacy status. So for me
Yep.
personally, yeah, number seven's quite apt.
Well, I mean, I've heard Cristiano Ronaldo's he's an okay guy at at soccer or football. I mean, he's talked about once or twice in the media over here.
I'm sure he is. Yeah, David Beckham. I think well, he's over in your side of the pond now, isn't he? So he was we know him as number seven over here.
Yeah.
Um, we digress. I'm not even. Moa is asking this, obviously. When are we doing the salted caramel flavor?
Hey, I mean,
Moa and his dessert,
I
man.
I can't give you a hard date, and it's good to hear from Mo. I got the pleasure of meeting that guy too on our cross country tour, and it was a blast. Love that guy.
Yeah.
Salted caramel, you never know. I mean, it could be in the works. It could not be. I mean,
I mean, you've got Welsh cream, which is yeah, butterscotchy kind of, you know, brown butter kind of.
we got
It's in the same room, right? Like it's
we
in the
got a
same oven.
wide array of dessert flavors to hold you over. I promise.
Can you elaborate, or is it? Do you want to leave that
Well,
just
no, no, no. I mean, like currently on the market,
oh,
we
currently on the
have a
market? Yeah,
wide,
of course.
I mean, you have horchata, which is absolutely amazing. I love
Hmm.
horchata. Chocolate ice cream was another one. It's not personally my favorite, but it may be a lot of other people's favorites. I mean, a cocoa.
It's one of those. You know, to anyone who likes chocolate ice cream, forgive me for you know slating it. It's one of those where you know people that do like it, they really like it. You know, and you get loads of those flavors where there's no middle ground. It's either I love this or oh, never again.
You want a great sleeper flavor too. That's also a dessert flavor. That's on the market currently. Peach cobbler. For those of you guys who
Yeah,
haven't had peach cobbler, go out and try it.
not as yet. But I keep hearing about peach cobbler. So is it kind of talk me through peach cobbler if you don't mind because that was one that's piqued my interest recently.
So me personally, like I'm Midwestern, kind of
Yeah.
slash Southern. I mean, the Midwest has a lot of like Southern food and a lot of hearty home style food. I mean,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
that is like smoking grandma's peach cobbler fresh out the oven right onto your plate. It's absolutely amazing. Just a real sweet peach, some nice cinnamon notes. It's
I was going to
amazing.
say nutmeg maybe as well, something of, yeah, cinnamon is of that ilk. Yeah.
And our pumpkin
Yeah.
flavor too. For those of you who haven't tried our pumpkin flavor, absolutely phenomenal. Spot on. I
Tis
mean,
the season for all the basic bitches. Sorry, I had to say that, but
hey, you know
it's in
what?
season.
Hey, I'm one of them. I will go get my pumpkin spice latte. Okay, don't judge. The pumpkin spice craze is real in the Midwest. I mean, I love my PSL. Don't you shame me for it.
That wasn't my intention. Listen, if you're a bad bee and you like that shit, who am I to
Go
judge you?
for it. Absolutely.
It's
Hey,
no different here, by the way. Trust me. The amount of people I've seen walking out. We have. I'm trying to think what the American equivalent is. We have this thing called Greggs in the UK, where it's sort of like baked goods and like pastries and donuts and savory, sweet, what have you. But yeah, they're on that hype. Trust me. Like I went to a retail park and literally people walking out with what I could only assume was pumpkin spice lattes.
hey,
So yeah.
as soon as that first leaf turns colors, I'm in line. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to say autumn is my favorite season, not for that reason, but it is for a lot of people. To be fair, it's
Oh, of
oh, the
course,
sun is done. Oh, yeah, exactly. But
of
it's
course.
you're right. I mean, it's peach cobbler. I think I should get onto because peach I do pair in a lot with a lot of desserty flavors because I do. Yeah, like, we don't. It's not native to us peach cobbler, but we have variations on like peach-based desserts, and yeah, it's just it's a natural combination of flavors that work. So yeah. Peach cobbler, that's another one for Waleed's list. Peach cobbler.
By the end of this live, you're gonna have 20 flavors on your list.
Yeah. I've been making copious notes. I was meant to be hosting this. I'm just doing it for my own personal gain. What next? It's another loaded question. What would Tangiers like to achieve in the next 5 years? I mean, you guys have achieved so much in the last 6 months, so God knows what the next 5 years is going to entail for you guys.
So I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but I like to set personal goals for myself in regards to the work that I do here.
Yeah.
For me, part of it is honestly just growing the brand, growing the legacy. I want people to walk into a hookah lounge and know that, hey, this place has Tangiers. I want people to go through the same things that I went through in searching it out, but
Yeah.
I want it to be more accessible for people. You know, I don't want people to have to drive 3 hours in one of my sales territories just to buy Tangiers. I want them to have that at their local lounge to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason for like Tangiersclub US too, is to really help grow that following here in the United States
Mhm.
and make it more accessible to the people that do love it already
Yeah.
and for the people that are gonna love it,
Yeah. And it's good. You guys aren't complacent. There's no superiority complex of, oh, we're Tangiers, we're so great. No, we can broaden our reach even in our own domestic market. But you're right. I mean, the Hookah University is a good barometer for me in terms of what the US and community like. And every other day you get someone, oh, I'm in this state or I'm in this town in this state. What lounge do you recommend? And the barometer is go here. They start Tangiers.
Yeah. I mean, we don't get complacent. That's not a thing here. We are always striving forward. I mean, a wise man once told me that every day is a job interview. You have to come in and prove yourself every day to ensure the next. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Next one is from my mate said Doodle Cups. I like the way he's phrased it. Do you pack dense or sometimes not dense? Answer that how you will. I'm just going to sort my calls out, Travis, but you answer that if you could.
yeah, I mean, typically I go with a dense pack. I mean, the way that, we typically do here, but, you know, actually following along in the community and seeing how you guys do things, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll try it, and people fluff packing or, packing it lightly in the bowl and stuff. I've seen it and I'm like, okay, why not? Give it a try. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, most typically I smoke with a dense pack for sure.
Yeah. I think again, I mean, without me kind of advancing that my way is the only way to do it. Of course, it's not. Um, but what I would say is that just based on experiences of people that ask me about Tangiers when they're trying it for the first time and they don't enjoy it, I would a lot of the time it's because they take dense pack a bit too literally. um, yeah, so I would say, so yeah, this is why I like the compaction chart that Eddie and Paul introduced at Hook University, because that gives you an understanding of how densities work. You know, it's like you fluff it in at a certain level, and then you compress it, and you can't exactly gauge, oh, this is 80% compaction or 90% compaction, but it's a good way of kind of understanding. If you know, they say 80% compaction for Tangiers, which is kind of like what I would do if I'm packing Tangiers. I'm not pressing it all the way down. I'm leveling it off. It is fairly compact, but it's not fully compact. It's not cemented, shall we say? So yeah, I think that's the key. You know, don't go too far, don't go too dense. I think Moa calls it a cozy dense, which is a nice way to put it. So yeah, I think that tends to work for most people.
Oh, give me 1 second. I'm gonna actually open my door because I have clogged up my office over the past hour and a half. All right, sorry about that. I apologize.
No worries. No. You know, that's major. I mean, it's quite windy, and my windows I open them up. I'm fine in that regard.
Oh yeah, like,
I have got a draft excluder on my door, and it's all going that way. I know the answer to this question. So Josefa asked, "What flavor are you most proud of?" I think I know the answer to this question in terms of what you personally developed, or you know what you're part of in terms of the R&D.
actually, so if we're talking the flavor I was like most involved in developing, uh, I would say the flavor I'm most proud of is Blitzsturm.
Yeah.
I didn't personally come up with the idea of developing that specific flavor, right, or profile. I was given the responsibility of renaming that flavor. And I remember going home, it was kind of a homework assignment for me, like, hey, you have 24 hours to come up with a different name for this flavor, right?
Was it Leviathan before?
It was Leviathan before
Yeah.
previously, yes.
Yeah.
So I remember, you know, jetting from work first thing, stopped at the Barnes and Noble between here and my house, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a thesaurus, right? And I'm like, you know, going through the flavor profile in my head and trying to find all these synonyms of, you know, what it could be and playing with the name. And I came up with like a 3-page list of names, right? And, you know, I get called into work, then, you know, come into work the next day, and, you know, I just kind of like walk by like, oh shit, I'm not done, you know? So I'm like, I still have like so much work to do, right? It's never like good enough at that point. And, you know, sure enough, I walk by, I get called over for a meeting, like, okay, what do you got? You know?
I'm
Like,
assuming this is Eric, and who can be
yeah,
quite.
yeah.
We've seen the fluffy side of Eric, but I'm sure he can be quite an imposing figure as well.
Oh, I mean, definitely. But, you know, it was one of those things that we were just sitting there going through all these names, and then like get through a 3-page list of names. I had to be sitting there for like an hour and a half. And it's like, okay, well, what else do you got? You know, what else do you got? And I'm like,
Oh wow, okay.
I don't know. Like, come on, what else you got? And I'm like, all right, hold on, give me a second. I'm brainstorming here. You know, I'm brainstorming. You know, and it's like, yeah, I like that name, brainstorm. You know, I like the storm aspect of things. You know, it's cool. It's a good concept. And
No way.
And I'm like, I did 24 hours of research and 2 seconds of me bantering back and forth. It was like all of a sudden, boom, we're on the right track. We're going with it. So,
Yeah, but that's the infinite wisdom of Eric, or what was, you know. I think he wants to kind of get you there. He had you kind of like rummaging through a thesaurus, but then again, it was just that moment of
yeah,
epiphany ultimately.
Just like that, just
Yeah.
you know. And we're off to the races. Boom.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
24 hours of me staying up all night, like.
Yeah.
And then,
I was going to say you must have been low key annoyed, but then I think the satisfaction of we got there. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say annoyed. I was just kind of still like perplexed. Like I just came up with 3 pages of names, and this is what. Yeah. But you know, it's great. I love it. It's caught on.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
we're there, and it's my favorite flavor now too. So like,
Well,
kind of like packing every day. I'm like, oh, cool, I had a part naming that. That's cool.
absolutely. Do you know what? I was very presumptuous asking that question. Like, yeah, I know. Travis is going to say Blitzstone. Yeah, fine. Move on to the next question. But I didn't realize that's what you went through to get there. Like, you went
Yeah,
through rings of fire to get to Blitzstone
yeah.
with a literal 2-second brainstorm. Yeah, I love it. I like it. Good stuff. Home straight. Speaking of home straight, we're in the home straight. Not too many to go. So my friend had asked. This is an interesting one. The best way to acclimate Tangiers. I don't most of the time, but yeah.
I
What would
mean,
you impart?
so for me, like acclimation is kind of honestly a myth, and it's part. I mean, it is a real thing, but to go to some of the extremities that I've seen people go, you don't need to go that far. Like, oh, I gotta let it sit out 36 hours, put it in the refrigerator, put it in the sun for 15,
My God,
minutes,
no.
things like that. Like, it's pretty simple and straightforward. If you
Mm.
open your package of tobacco and it smells like what you would expect it to smell like, 9.9 times out of 10, it's fine. You know, put it in a food safe container, mix it up, mix the entire tub. Make sure you get all the juices out of that bag. Use a credit card, some sort of device to leverage it all out, whether it be a scraper, credit card, whatever. Really just thoroughly mix it.
Yeah.
If you're experiencing issues, thoroughly mix it up, let it sit out for 10 minutes or so. Go back to it when you're getting ready to pack your bowl, thoroughly mix it again and pack your bowl, and you're good to go.
I think that's basically it. You hit the nail on the head. If you break the seal, smells like it's supposed to, you should be fine. If you've done that and the aroma was accurate, but the taste necessarily wasn't, try acclimating it, might work. And in fairness, yeah, it is a myth to a great extent, but it does work. There are odd flavors where I've had it where I've been to a friend and we spoke to a particular batch of Tangiers and it's like, it's not what it's supposed to be. But then he's kind of accidentally left it to one side with the lid off. He's no
Yeah,
intention of doing so, but then I don't know, maybe the pack or the heat management could have been a factor. But there is, marginal sort of change of experience once you've done that.
well,
But it's not the
that's
be
an
all and end
important
all. I think, sort of saying.
that's an important point you make too. Like leaving it open and setting it out. You have to realize too. You have to introduce it to the environment that you intend to smoke it in. Like let's say you leave it open in your garage and you have like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, obviously people store a lot of chemicals in their garage, motor oils, cleaning products, whatever, right? You leave it open and around those things, it might absorb some of the properties of those. So keep in mind where you store your tobacco is very important.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, and also as well. I mean, the climate, where it's cultivated and made over there is drastically different to here, particularly in
Yeah.
the winter months. So it's like it can be a factor, can being the operative word, but
Yeah.
for the most part, you should be fine. Just you want to smoke it straight out of the pack. Don't feel obligated to acclimate it, but if you didn't enjoy it, try it. Might work. It's
Yeah.
one of those. Next one is, will you, this is potentially interesting. Will you introduce new packaging in the future?
So we already have various different kinds of packaging. So you may see something different depending on, if a company's regular or if a country's regulations or municipality, whatever their regulations change, you may see a different kind of packaging in your area.
Yeah,
Um, Legislation's constantly changing, so sometimes our packaging changes quite often. So keep in
yeah,
mind you might see different packaging based on those factors.
yeah. Next one from our friend Matt. Is there a flavor that, you can tell Matt's asked this question. Is there a flavor that you do not want to see tried in hookah?
A flavor that I do not want to see tried in a hookah. You know, for me, like you see a lot of unique flavors across different markets. Flavors that I've seen that like I didn't even I was like I'm not even gonna try this. You see like a fish flavor like salmon or like
I was going to
like
say, yeah,
pepper
WTO. They like their
I,
gastronomic
I
flavors over there.
you know what I mean, that may be great for some people, but personally that's not me. Keep in mind though, the first flavor I ever smoked was Tangiers bacon. from
Indeed.
Tangiers. So, but I'm not gonna say it was my favorite because it wasn't. But it tasted like bacon. You got bacon. You know, that was the biggest complaint about bacon. It tastes too much like bacon. So
Well, see that's it's interesting you say that. So you mentioned salmon. So one, I'm sure there's a few Russian brands that kind of do fishy flavors, but WTO is interesting because they do these really quirky out there gastronomic flavors, right? And we
yeah,
actually had we had our own shisha meetup about a year ago. It was actually by Kako's, so he elected a lounge and all of his customers, members of the community. We just met up there, tried each of the various bowls. There were two challenges. One was a straight bowl of cooling, effectively supernova, and the other one was the inverse of that, which was their what they call Tanzania, which is a habanero cayenne ghost pepper, right?
ooh,
And I mean, what can I say? It hit the nail on the head. Like literally a straight bowl of that, and I felt like I couldn't take a full intake of it. No one could. But it was literally, you felt the kind of swelling sensation you get when you have like, like a hot wing challenge and you have like Scoville units and you can feel like
fun.
all the molecules kind of dissipated. I actually felt it like a swelling sensation, which was not pleasant. Having said that, I thought, well, a pinch of this with the right, with like a lime or a mango, for instance, could work. And bacon, you could do salted caramel, for instance. Maybe you could take some of the elements of that bacon flavor and mix it with like a Welsh cream. You might be able to get something of that ilk, like a
Yeah,
candied bacon.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so it's one of those. I think as straight flavors go, do you want to have a straight bowl of salmon? I don't. You don't. Some people might, but yeah, I
Hey,
think the
but
Russians are interesting. They do take it quite far.
but props to them for doing it. I mean, that's something unique that they're bringing to the industry for people to try,
100%.
and I'm all for that. And like, I saw one flavor, that stood out to me that I'm like, I don't know if I'd try it. It was like a cream corn, But the other day I heard that, viral song on TikTok that all the kids are listening to these days,
Yeah.
corn, and it's a big lump of knobs. It has the juice,
Yeah, it has the
So
juice. Yeah, I
I
was
might
gonna.
try it now.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like making my stupid content, and I was actually going to do something of that because I actually have some dessert corn by Smoke Angels, and it's cream corn, and it's actually not bad. Like, a straight bowl of it, it's cream corn. But
Hey,
there's some other stuff. Like a Bonche doing olive, but the olive is interesting because it's kind of like more of an olive oil. It's like the richness as opposed to like those bitter like notes that you get, biting into an olive straight away. So I thought, okay, maybe not a whole bowl of it, but it could work for certain mixes. But yeah, they the innovation in terms of flavors over there is something else. But I think we can agree that salmon's not one that we were going to be investing in too much.
I personally won't, but for those of you
No,
out there that enjoy it, enjoy it. I mean,
indeed.
that's what innovation's all about, and I'm
Yeah,
glad someone's doing it.
yeah. Last question on here. We got two more on the icon, so we'll do this and we'll do that, and then we'll wrap it up because you've already been too generous with your time, Travis. Um, is there a chance, it probably pertains to Tangiersclub US, is there a chance to see more Tangiers pop-ups in other places? This is, again, from Matt Morning Hooker, or if you've got any in the pipeline that's coming up that people can be aware of and attend.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's definitely more chances for Tangiers to pop up countrywide. I'm hoping, a goal of mine is to travel too. Maybe even overseas. But stay tuned, follow along for us for those events.
Yeah.
We did a cross country tour last year. No one would imagine that we would have done that, but it was just kind of an idea we had, and we ran with it, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I definitely hope so. I definitely hope you'll see more Tangiers events and more Tangiers across various markets soon.
Yeah. And I mean, you did that when we were still contending with COVID. I mean, we still are now, but I mean, it was still. I remember trying to think when you guys were traveling, I was thinking, wow, okay, I know restrictions in the States can be quite severe with traveling, but you did it, so definitely will be scope for that in the future if you're able to do it in 2021.
You never know.
Yeah, we're just gonna breeze through these Stefan questions. Have you smoked KFC?
I smoked KFC last weekend at the Atmosphere Lounge in Glendale, California, packed by RB himself too, and it was phenomenal.
you're channeling Stefan right there.
But it was phenomenal. It was an amazing bowl. It was a great experience
Yeah.
overall. The ambiance of atmosphere is phenomenal every single time I go there, and anytime I'm in LA, I got to stop by and see Arby and smoke a bowl of KFC. So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think that's going to be part of the pilgrimage for me. One of the lounges I have to pop by is atmosphere for that reason. Because I just and very sort of message boards. I can see people, hey, I'm here chilling at the atmosphere. Who's down? Who wants to come? Thanks for the invite. All this sort of stuff.
Yeah. The real question is Stefan going to join me for a bowl of KFC at the atmosphere the next time I go?
Indeed. Where you at, Stefan?
Yeah, where you at, Stefan? Come on, man.
Again, just whilst we're on the subject, or the topic, that is Stefan Abramian, Tangiers packaging in Europe to USA. I'm sorry, Travis. I don't understand where he's getting at. I'm sure you do.
Why, you don't like my handwriting, Stefan? You got a problem
We'll
with
leave
my
that
handwriting?
at that. I guess we're going to have to leave it on that note. That covers everything, Travis. Flipping heck, 30 questions later, brief interlude, and 2 really good lives with your good self. So appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Cool.
I appreciate all the questions from the viewers.
Me too.
I appreciate your time. I know I've probably taken up a lot of your time with this, so I'm so sorry
Not at all.
again. But
It's 9 p.m. It's 11 p.m. now, and I'm smoking. It's part of the course. I was going to be here anyway. It's just nice that I got to smoke with someone for a change, as opposed to just watching Breaking Bad reruns on Netflix. So it's a nice change of pace for me.
hey, anytime you want to smoke a bowl together, hit me up, man.
Duly noted. And just any sort of last remarks about Tangiersclub US. Obviously, everyone who's still watching, please follow. But any last sort of points you want to make on Tangiersclub US and what have you, before we leave it?
Like I said before, I'm grateful to be working with Tangiersclub to bring this new chapter to you guys. I'm
Yeah.
excited for all the exciting things we have coming to you guys. We're definitely planning on more community outreach, being part of the community, doing more events, having some more cool merchandise for you guys, as well as some cool items too. One thing that I definitely want to work with is, some niche vendors who make a handcrafted product, and for you guys to be able to enjoy their product as well as have, a cool piece of Tangiersclub merchandise to show off in your collection. That's one thing I'm excited about. But I'm just grateful to be a part of the Tangiersclub and to help
Yeah.
spread Tangiers across the US, across the world.
Yeah.
It's something that, this is my passion. This is what I love to do, and to be able to work with some of the best guys in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
to work with my family and do it, it's amazing. And the support from
Yeah.
the community has been absolutely amazing thus far, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, just on the topic of merchandise, if and when you do see Kakas at in Vegas, I'm going to make sure he brings that up with you, because I'm sure he'll be very interested to be part of that process as far as the UK vendors concerned.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would love that. I'm so excited to meet him, and
Yeah.
I will most definitely have something set aside to send over to you. And
Thank you,
to
bro.
some of the people of the UK, I'm
Yeah.
excited. The love and the outreach from the UK, by the way, has been phenomenal over the past couple of years. It's just something that blew up overnight, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's just grown. So I'm excited to see your guys' community grow, as well as the community here in the US.
Yeah, no, it's we've been around for a while, but I think, like you said, I think in the last we were still in our infancy, and we still are, but no, we've got a role to play as well, and it's good to see the levels of engagement from various different bloggers, including myself, I suppose. But yeah, it's not what you said.
Hats off to you, by the way. You're a large part of that. I love what some of the content you're doing, and I'm grateful to be a part of that. And just sitting back kind of, on the sidelines and watching you guys grow out there is awesome.
Yeah.
So keep it up, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. On that delightful note, bro, thank you so much for your time. And we'll definitely do this again soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Thanks, Travis. Look after yourself, buddy. All the best.
Absolutely. You too, guys. And thank you guys for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Of course. Of course. Us too. Bye now.
Take care, guys.